Welcome to Crash Team Rumble 101. Today, we're looking at the main character's sister and arguably more popular character, Coco. Coco is a highly mobile booster who specializes in, just about darn near everything. She is quite literally the Swiss Army knife of the game. She is highly mobile, can score, boost, defend, and even can fight. Coco's abilities on the surface seem very close to Crash Bandicoot's. Coco's first ability is her spin. This move is used for just about everything, from breaking crates to attacking enemies. If you press spin 3 times in a row, you do what's called a triple spin, dealing a bit more damage and steadily giving Coco a movement speed boost. Coco also has a butt slam, which allows her to smash the ground and knock enemies back around the target of impact. Anyone directly below will be squished and stunned for a few seconds. But if you want the target to hurt even more, you can press the butt slam twice to do a super butt slam, which increases the damage and range to squish enemies. Where Coco becomes significantly different from her brother, though, is her Quantum Wall and Dive. The Quantum Wall is arguably the most overloaded and overpowered ability in the game. When Coco activates it, it blocks all damage from enemies to anyone who's behind the wall. Coco and allies actually can run straight through the wall perfectly fine. And it also grants a movement speed boost to anyone who runs through it, including allies. Oh, and if enemies touch the wall, they automatically bounce off of it like a pinball. If Coco presses the Quantum Wall while she's in mid-air, she will also do a dive. This dive leaves behind a Quantum Wall and launches Coco a significant distance. Coco seems like she doesn't have any weaknesses, and that's actually kind of true. Coco somehow has even more tools than Crash Bandicoot does. While she does have more tools than Crash, she does have some downsides. Her health bar is definitely not as big as Crash's, which makes her more susceptible to dying by taking significant burst damage. She also can't hold a lot of Wumpa Fruit, maxing out at 90. But let me tell you something about Coco. If I had zero idea as to what map I was playing on, who my teammates were playing, or who the enemy team was, I would pick Coco every single time. She is my very first hero to get to level 15 with, and I really do find her to be an absolute blast. Now, let's break down Coco's playstyle along with some tips and tricks. Coco being a booster allows her to gain access to double relic collection spots. As you learn each map, learn where the double relics spawn when the game starts. Getting your hands on these relics right when the match starts can be an early power swing for you and your team. Again, this is map dependent. But for this example, I'll use Calamity Canyon. Right when the match starts, lock down the nearest gem pad to your spawn point, while also grabbing the double relics. When you flip your gem pads to blue, make sure no one is coming to interrupt your gem pads, and then move to the next set. Now, once again, depending on the map, I like to sometimes activate a relic station literally right away. So in this case, I'll activate the Junker Balls right after locking down my first gem pad set. I then shift to the neutral point and use the Junker Balls to lock down the next set of gem pads and prevent anybody from the enemy team to come lock it down. When all the gem pads lock down, Coco truly becomes a Swiss Army knife. Does your team have the dominant gem boost? Start collecting Wumpa and score. Did your team fall behind? Go and harass the enemies around their bank. Whichever you decide to do, in between whatever you're doing, you are grabbing as many relics as possible. Boosters will change their strategy depending on the map that they are playing on, because the relic stations can determine what you do exactly. Some relic stations should have complete attention, while others should have no attention or very little attention. Your strategy can vary. You can focus on activating only the epic relic station. You can focus on activating all the relic stations on the enemy bank, just to deny them from using them. You can activate all the relic stations by your bank to help your team score. You can hyper-focus on one specific basic relic station to make sure that you and your team constantly have it. Boosters are great for certain problematic characters on certain maps. Is there a blocker on your bank? Focus on the relic stations that would remove them. Is the enemy team scoring like crazy? Focus on the relic stations that would stop that. Is your team winning? Focus on the relic stations that lock down the win. Coco is truly capable of doing all of that. And of course, when the gem pads reset, she should focus on locking them down for her team. Unless it's endgame. What's endgame, you might be asking? Well, I have an advanced guide to help explain all of that. You can check it out at the end of the video. Now, when it specifically comes to Coco, here's a couple neat tricks. Coco can triple spin by pressing the spin button 3 times, giving her a steadily increasing burst of speed. Now, the rest of these tricks are going to be sitting around Coco's quantum wall and her dive. As mentioned before, the quantum wall has so many uses. When I say it blocks all damage from enemies, I really do mean all damage. This includes bomb, the sticky TNT. Even when Greg is electrifying the ground, the quantum wall keeps Coco protected. You also can use the wall for gem pad or relic station fights, sometimes stopping an entire fight before it even begins. If you're trying to turn in on a bank and an enemy blocker is trying to stop you, run back and forth between the quantum wall. This will give you more time to turn in while stopping the blocker from knocking you off your feet. The wall also does a decent chunk of damage, so a well-timed wall in a close fight can be the deciding factor. Now, the dive is also quite interesting. When you press the shield button in midair, Coco will leave a wall behind and then dive. But even when the wall is on cooldown, Coco can still do this epic dive even without the wall. But it also knocks back enemies and deals damage to everyone it hits. It also increases the size of her hitbox, so it allows her to be able to hit more enemies within a wider berth of range. You can quite literally spam this ability to either move across the map at wicked speeds or knock people off of objectives. When you dive, if you did not double jump into a dive, you can press the jump button mid-dive to actually add a little bounce, changing Coco's trajectory. Now, remember how I said Coco is like a Swiss Army knife when it comes to characters? Yeah, it applies to powers as well. Quite literally, she can almost use any power. Seriously, almost any power. So I encourage you to try some different combinations. However, I'll give you 2 powers that I typically use with Coco, though I have seen many other people use many different powers for her. So this is a big experimental thing for you. But again, here are the 2 powers that I personally use. Flytrap Spitter is actually one of my favorites, mainly because I love it for gem pad skirmishes. My focus in almost every game is to lock down gem pads, and because Coco is a booster, I can almost always have 1 fly trap on hand because of how much time I'm on gem pads. It allows me to lock down a number of pads in fights, as well as interrupt the enemies while they try to lock down their gem pads. You can also do a dramatic save by plopping a fly trap spitter on a gem pad while diving through the air. Another really good power is the new sticky TNT. Shockingly, when Coco does her dive, her hitbox seems to be larger, allowing her to easily pass off the TNT crate. She also can throw up a wall after she sticks someone with the TNT and watch as they detonate right before her eyes while she takes no damage. Again though, try out different powers to see how you like to play Coco. And that's it from my Rumble 101 Coco guide. I've done guides on other characters as well. You can check them out here. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video and our live stream. Bye bye!